Come get me, please. The words came out broken, barely audible over the sound of rain hammering against the boutique windows. Amara pressed her forehead against the cold glass, her reflection showing someone she barely recognized. The custom dress her mother had ordered, the one that cost 3 months of her savings, hung wrong on her body. Too tight in places her mother said needed discipline, too loose where she'd been told to build herself up. Seoul's lights blurred through her tears, neon signs painting her brown skin in colors that felt foreign, unwelcome. I'm already here. Kang Ji-hun's voice came through her earpiece like thunder wrapped in silk. Stay exactly where you are. Don't move. Hey, friends. To understand how Amara Chen ended up hiding in a bridal boutique in Gangnam while her cousin's engagement party continued 3 floors below, we need to rewind. Back to a family reunion that was supposed to heal old wounds and a man who'd been watching her unravel for months, waiting for the moment she'd finally let him catch her. Stick around because this gets intense. 6 months earlier, Amara had been setting up her photography exhibit in a gallery in Itaewon. The space was industrial, minimalist, white walls designed to make art pop. Her work, portraits of everyday Koreans living their lives, filled the room with color and humanity. She'd been adjusting the lighting on a portrait of an elderly woman laughing at a fish market when she felt it. That prickling awareness that comes from being watched with intent. More to the left, a voice said in English, accented but precise. The lights washing out her expression. Amara turned. The man standing behind her looked like he'd walked out of a magazine spread for expensive watches. Tailored suit, sharp jawline, eyes that tracked her movements with predatory focus. And you are? Professional, despite the way her pulse kicked up. Someone who appreciates good work. He moved closer, studying the photograph. But not when it's poorly lit. She should have been offended. Instead, she found herself adjusting the light, watching how it changed the image. Better? Much. His eyes shifted from the portrait to her face. Ji-hun. Kang Ji-hun. And you're Amara Chen. The way he said her full name, like he'd practiced it, like he'd known exactly who she was before walking in, should have sent her running. It didn't. The exhibit opening happened 3 hours later. Ji-hun stayed the entire time, standing in corners, watching her interact with viewers, his presence a constant weight she felt in her spine. When the last guest left, he was still there. Have dinner with me. Not a question, not quite a command. Something in between that made her stomach flip. I don't think that's appropriate, Amara said, already gathering her things. You don't know me. Then let me fix that. He stepped into her path, not threatening, but deliberate. I know your work. I want to know the artist. The certainty in his voice rewrote something in her brain. Okay, she whispered. Their first dinner was at a private restaurant in Gangnam, the kind of place that didn't have prices on the menu. Ji-hun ordered in rapid Korean, then switched to English for her benefit. Tell me why you're in Seoul. Complicated, Amara said, tracing the rim of her water glass. My mother's Korean, my father's Black American. They met in college, had me, divorced when I was 6. Mom moved back to Seoul, took my younger half-siblings with her. I stayed with my dad in New York. And now? Now I'm the American cousin who shows up for family events and gets reminded that I don't quite fit anywhere. The bitterness surprised her. She hadn't meant to say that much. His hand covered hers on the table, warm and certain. Where do they say you don't fit? She could have deflected. Should have. Instead, the truth spilled out like poison she'd been holding too long. My mother's family thinks I'm too black. Not Korean enough, not feminine enough, not small enough, not quiet enough. Just not enough of what they expect. Something dangerous flickered across his face. He leaned forward. And your mother? She agrees with them. The words tasted like ash. She's been trying to fix me since I got here. Better clothes, better hair, better everything. There's a family reunion coming up, a big engagement party for my cousin. She's desperate for me to be presentable. Jihoon's jaw tightened. Presentable. Yes. Amara laughed, but it came out broken. Smaller, lighter, quieter. More like my cousins, who fit perfectly into the mold I keep cracking. His thumb traced circles on her hand. What if I told you that you're perfect exactly as you are? I'd say you don't know my family. Then introduce me. Let me show them what I see. The relationship grew in secret after that. Stolen evenings, careful planning, nothing posted online. Jihoon learned the depth of her family's cruelty in increments that made his rage build like a storm system. The way her mother, Minji, spoke to her in Korean, fast and sharp, knowing Amara's understanding was limited. The comments about her curls being unprofessional, her curves being excessive, her very existence being a complication. He learned she paid rent to stay in her mother's apartment, that she'd financed her entire move to Seoul herself, that she sent gifts to her half-siblings who barely acknowledged her. He learned she made herself small at family dinners, apologized for taking up space, flinched when her grandmother spoke. Each revelation fed the file in his mind, the one labeled reasons the Chin family will learn what consequences feel like. 3 months in, Minji announced the engagement party. Her nephew, Amara's cousin Juno, was marrying into one of Seoul's prominent families. The party would be extravagant, important, the kind of event where appearances mattered more than anything. You have to come, Minji told Amara over breakfast, her Korean clipped and exact. The whole family will be there. Of course, Amara said. I'll take photos if you want. No. Minji set down her coffee with precision. I've hired a photographer. You'll attend as family. Wear something appropriate. What does that mean? You know what it means. Her mother's eyes were cold. Something that doesn't draw attention. Something that makes you look less. She didn't say the word, but Amara heard it anyway. Less black, less large, less there. That night, curled against Jihoon in his apartment overlooking the Han River, she told him everything. The dress her mother had ordered, custom-made to minimize her figure. The way her grandmother had pursed her lips when seeing Amara's portfolio, saying photography wasn't a real career. How her uncle had introduced her at the last family gathering as Minji's daughter from her first mistake. I don't want to go, she whispered. Then don't. His arms tightened. Walk away. I can't just. Yes, you can. He pulled back to look at her, his eyes intense. The question is whether you will. She wanted to. God, she wanted to. But 26 years of trying to earn love from a mother who'd left, from a family who saw her as a problem, that weight didn't lift easily. One more time, she said finally. I have to try one more time. Then I'll be ready. His expression went dark, calculating. If anything happens, anything at all, you call me. I'll handle it. She didn't know what that meant, but the certainty in his voice made her believe him. The engagement party started at noon in a boutique event space in Gangnam. Crystal chandeliers, imported flowers, champagne towers that cost more than Amara's entire camera setup. She'd arrived early with the dress, had locked herself in a boutique dressing room to change while her mother greeted guests. The dress was lavender silk, empire waist, designed to hide rather than celebrate. It made her look washed out, shapeless, wrong. She stared at herself in the mirror and saw what her mother wanted her to see. A mistake trying desperately to disappear. Amara, her mother's voice came through the door, sharp and impatient. Guests are arriving. Come out. One moment. Her hands shook as she tried to zip the dress. The zipper caught halfway, stuck on fabric her mother's dressmaker had bunched to conceal her waist. Amara, now. She opened the door. Her mother took one look and her expression went tight. The dress doesn't fit properly. I told them your measurements. Maybe if you'd actually tried to lose weight like I suggested. Mom, not now. Yes, now. Minji grabbed her arm, fingers digging in. Go back inside, fix it, and then join us for family photos. We're taking them in 10 minutes. Amara returned to the dressing room, fought with the zipper, finally got it closed. When she emerged, her mother was gone. She found the family gathered on the outdoor terrace. Her grandmother, her uncle and aunt, her cousins, the happy couple. All arranged in perfect rows for the photographer. Amara joined them automatically, taking her place on the end. "Excuse me," the photographer said in Korean, then switched to English when he saw her. "Could you step to the side? We're doing immediate family only right now." "I am immediate family." The photographer looked at Minji, confused. Minji's expression was ice. "Just the Korean side of the family first. We'll do extended family photos later." The words landed like a slap. Amara stood there, frozen, while her cousins shifted uncomfortably. Her half-brother, 16 and already taller than her, wouldn't meet her eyes. "Please," Minji's voice dropped, deadly quiet. "Don't make a scene. Just step aside." Amara's vision blurred. She turned, walking blindly away from the terrace, through the party, past guests who didn't know her name. She found herself in the boutique section of the venue, between racks of wedding dresses, white and pure and mocking. Her phone was in her hand before she processed the movement. Jihoon answered on the first ring. "Come get me, please." The words broke on the way out. "I can't do this. I need you. I'm already here." His voice was dark, certain. "Stay exactly where you are. Don't move." "Wait, before we continue, let me ask you something. Have you ever been made to feel like you don't belong in your own family? Like your very existence is an inconvenience they're constantly managing?" If Amara's story is hitting too close to home, go ahead and hit that like button right now. It tells me these stories matter, that you need to see women like Amara, caught between cultures, told she's too much of one thing and not enough of another, finally get chosen by someone who sees her as complete. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Smash that subscribe button so you never miss these Afro-Korean romance stories where being different isn't a flaw, it's everything. Now let's see what happens when Kang Ji-hoon shows up to a party that excluded his woman. The sound started low. Engines, expensive ones, the kind that announced power before arrival. Amara looked up from where she'd collapsed between wedding dresses, mascara tracking down her face. Through the boutique windows, she saw them. 4 black vehicles pulling up to the venue entrance with coordinated precision. The lead car was a Genesis G90, black on black, windows tinted so dark they looked like mirrors. The door opened. Ji-hoon stepped out first, moving like controlled violence in a Tom Ford suit. Behind him, 6 men emerged from the other vehicles. All Korean, all built like they understood exactly how much damage a human body could take. All watching the venue entrance like they were calculating structural weaknesses. Ji-hoon's eyes found the boutique windows, found her through the glass. The rest of the world could have ceased to exist. He moved toward the entrance and people scattered. Guests who'd been arriving for the party froze, conversations dying mid-sentence. Someone whispered in Korean, "Who is that?" Nobody answered. Ji-hoon walked through the venue like he owned it, his crew flanking him, their presence making expensive champagne and designer clothes look suddenly cheap. He found her in the boutique, standing among white dresses, her brown skin and lavender dress a stark contrast to everything pure and acceptable around her. "I'm here," his voice was soft, lethal. Amara's composure shattered. She moved toward him and he caught her, arms coming around her like armor. His hand pressed against the back of her head, holding her against his chest while she broke. "Which ones?" "All of them," she whispered. His jaw went so tight she heard his teeth grind. "Then watch." He turned, keeping her tucked against his side, and walked back toward the terrace. His crew moved with him, a unit that made party security suddenly look like children playing dress-up. Guests parted like water. Minji appeared, her face already shifting into damage control mode. That polished smile, that practiced grace. "Amara, what is this? Who is this person?" "Kang Ji-hoon," he said, his voice cutting through party noise like a blade. The man who's about to explain what happens when you exclude your daughter from family photos. Minji's smile cracked. This is a private family event. Not anymore. He stepped forward. She stepped back. You don't get to decide what's private after you humiliate her publicly. This is none of your business. Minji's voice went sharp, switching to Korean, probably hoping he'd back down. He answered in the same language, faster, more cutting. Every word made her face go paler. Then he switched back to English for Amara's benefit. You charge her rent to stay in your apartment. Not a question. An accusation. Amara's uncle appeared, trying to intervene. Now see here. You're her uncle, right? Jihoon turned on him. The one who introduced her as your sister's mistake at the last family gathering? The uncle's face went red. Several guests gasped. Amara's grandmother pushed through the crowd, tiny and imperious, speaking rapid Korean. Jihoon listened, expression unchanging, then responded in the same language. Whatever he said made the old woman's eyes go wide with shock. This is my nephew's engagement party, Minji tried again, voice shaking now. How dare you ruin it? Your daughter made it here. Jihoon's voice could have cut glass. She showed up, wearing a dress designed to hide her, ready to smile for photos you wouldn't let her be in. And you want to talk about what I'm ruining? He turned to address the crowd, and the way he commanded the space made every expensive suit and designer dress in the room suddenly irrelevant. How many of you have met Amara Chen? Silence. She's a photographer. One of the best I've seen. She has an exhibit in Itaewon that critics are calling groundbreaking. He paused. But her own family treats her like a problem to be managed. This isn't appropriate, one of the cousins tried. Your mother is humiliating her, and you're worried about appropriate? Jihoon's laugh was harsh. Where was appropriate when your grandmother said photography wasn't a real career? When your uncle called her a mistake? When your aunt suggested she needed to lose weight to be presentable? Amara grabbed his arm. Jihoon. He covered her hand with his, gentle despite the rage vibrating through him. I'm almost done, baby. He turned back to Minji. You left her when she was 6 years old. Took your other children and moved to Seoul. Built a whole new life. The words landed like bombs. And when she came here to try to be part of your family, you charged her rent, criticized her appearance, made her feel like she had to earn the love you should have given freely. Minji's face drained of color. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. He stepped closer. His crew shifted forward automatically. You're ashamed of her because she's black. Because she's proof of a life you want to forget. Because she doesn't fit into the perfect Korean family image you've constructed. We love our daughter, Minji's voice broke. Then why have you spent 6 months making her feel like she has to disappear to deserve that love? Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence. Jihoon turned to Amara, his expression softening. His hand cupped her face, thumb wiping away tears. You're done here. She nodded. He pulled her close, his body a shield between her and everyone watching. Before they left, he turned back one final time. Mrs. Chen, his voice dropped to that lethal quiet. If you contact her, guilt her, try to manipulate her into coming back, I will make it my personal mission to ensure everyone in Seoul's social circles knows exactly what kind of mother you are. The smile that crossed his face was absolutely terrifying. And unlike you, I keep my promises. They walked out through a crowd that parted like he was radioactive. His hand stayed on her back, steady and certain. The G90's door closed behind them with expensive finality. The engine purred to life. Seoul's lights blurred past the windows as they drove. Inside the car, Amara collapsed against Jihoon's chest, crying so hard she couldn't breathe. His arms came around her, tight and unrelenting. I should have come sooner. I wasn't ready. Her voice was muffled against his shirt. You're ready now. His lips pressed against her hair. And I'm never letting them hurt you again. The car pulled up to his building in Gangnam. Floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of luxury that whispered rather than shouted. He guided her inside, through a lobby where staff nodded without question, up an elevator that opened directly into his penthouse. The space was modern, clean lines and dark woods and a view of Seoul that looked like a promise. She stood in the middle of his living room, shaking. Did I do the right thing? You did the only thing. He turned her to face him. You chose yourself. They're going to hate me. They already didn't love you properly, baby. There's nothing left to lose. His bedroom door opened to reveal a closet that hadn't been there last time she'd visited. It was full. Beautiful clothes in rich fabrics and bold patterns. Every single piece in her size, cut to celebrate curves, not apologize for them. Dresses that would make her feel powerful. Jeans that would fit perfectly. Lingerie that was sensual and unapologetic. Amara's hand covered her mouth. When did you? I've been preparing. He stepped behind her. The question was never if you'd leave. It was when you'd be ready. She turned in his arms, looking up at him through tears. Why? Because you deserve to be chosen, Amara. His voice was firm. You deserve to be protected, celebrated, loved without conditions. And if your family can't see that, then fuck them. I see it. I've always seen it. She kissed him then, desperate and grateful and terrified all at once. He responded with controlled intensity, hands gentle despite the rage she knew still simmered under his skin. Later, after she'd showered, after she'd changed into one of his shirts, after she'd stopped crying, they sat on his couch. Seoul glowed beyond the windows like a city that had finally become hers. My phone won't stop buzzing, she said quietly. Ignore it. Let them panic. What if they? What if they what? His hand covered hers. Apologize? They won't mean it. Beg you to come back? So they can humiliate you differently next time? She knew he was right. Knowing didn't make it hurt less. Her phone lit up again. Her mother's name flashing across the screen. Jihoon reached for it, but Amara stopped him. I need to do this. She answered. Put it on speaker, he said quietly. She did. Amara, her mother's voice came through, strained and careful. We need to talk about what happened. No, Amara said, and her voice didn't shake. We don't. That man had no right to speak to us that way. That man is Kang Jihoon. Amara's voice strengthened. And he had every right to defend me when you wouldn't. We're your family. You're my mother. The words came out sharp. But you left me when I was 6. You built a whole life without me. And when I tried to be part of it, you made me feel like I had to shrink, change, disappear to deserve space in it. That's not. That's exactly what it was. Tears ran freely now, but her voice held. You excluded me from family photos, Mom. Your own daughter. You called me unpresentable. You charged me rent while my half-siblings lived with you for free. Every word landed like a hammer. Silence stretched across the line. Then Minji's voice came back, tight with barely controlled emotion. I did my best. Your best was making me feel like I wasn't Korean enough, wasn't small enough, wasn't enough, period. Amara stood, pacing. I spent 6 months trying to earn love that should have been free. I'm done. If you loved me, you would. If I loved you, I would what? Keep letting you hurt me? Keep pretending it doesn't matter that you're ashamed of me? Her voice cracked. I'm your daughter. I deserved better. The line went quiet. Then, I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to say you're sorry, Amara whispered. I want you to mean it. I want you to see me, actually see me, and love what you see instead of trying to fix it. But you won't. So I'm done waiting. She ended the call. Blocked the number. Then did the same with her uncle, her grandmother, her aunt. Every contact that had made her feel small. Jihoon pulled her back down to the couch, into his arms. Proud of you. She laughed, wet and broken. I just blew up my entire family. You just saved yourself, he corrected. There's a difference. Days passed. Amara stayed in his penthouse, processing everything that had broken and changed. Jihoon worked from home, always nearby, always watching to make sure she was holding together. His assistant reported that Minji had tried to reach out to Amara's photography contacts. Jihoon's legal team had shut it down immediately. Her uncle had attempted to speak to the gallery director. Jihoon had made a call. That conversation ended quickly. On the fourth morning, Jihoon found her on the balcony, watching Seoul wake up. Get dressed, he said. We're going out. I don't think. You've been inside for 4 days. His voice was gentle but firm. Walk with me. They ended up in Itaewon, walking through streets that buzzed with life. International restaurants, art galleries, people from everywhere living side by side. Anonymous here. Safe. They passed her gallery. The exhibit was still up, extended by popular demand. Amara stopped, looking at her work displayed in the windows. That's where it started, she said softly. No. Jihoon turned her to face him, his hands framing her face. That's where I found what I'd been looking for. They kept walking, past shops and cafes and people who didn't know her story, didn't care about her family, just saw a woman walking with a man who looked at her like she'd hung the moon. Do you think she'll ever understand? Amara asked. I don't care if she does. His hand tightened on hers. Do you? Long pause. Then, no. I don't think I do. They stopped at a newsstand. Magazine covers on display. Photography journals, art publications. One caught her eye. Feature headline, Fresh Perspective, Amara Chen's Soul. Her photo on the cover, standing in front of her exhibit, confident and glowing. When did you? Last month. He pulled her close. I knew you'd need to see it to remember who you really are. Her eyes burned. You planned all of this. I told you. His smile was slight. I've been preparing. The question was when you'd be ready to walk away. Thank you, she whispered, for coming to get me. Always. He stopped walking, both hands framing her face. The sounds of Itaewon faded. Nothing existed except him and her and this moment. Every time you call, I will come. Every time they try to hurt you, I will stand between. Every time you forget who you are, I will remind you. She kissed him in the middle of Itaewon, surrounded by people living their lives, building their families, choosing their homes. And Amara Chen finally understood what belonging felt like. Not fitting into a mold someone else created. Not shrinking to make space for people who'd never make space for her. Belonging was being chosen, being seen, being loved exactly as she was, in all her complicated, beautiful, too muchness. They kept walking, disappearing into Seoul's embrace, her hand in his, her future uncertain but finally hers. And for the first time in 26 years, Amara Chen was home. If this story reminded you that you don't have to shrink for people who should be making you feel big, that being too much for the wrong family just means you're exactly enough for the right person, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Because stories like this, where Black women caught between worlds find men who see them as whole, where protection feels like devotion and love doesn't ask you to change, these stories matter. And I'm not done telling them. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have walked away? Or would you have stayed, kept trying to earn love that was never going to come freely? Let's talk about it, because your story matters too.